What's up, guys, and welcome back to another UFC Quick Picks here on the Mayo Media Network. My name is Brett Appley from DailyFanMMA.com, and I'm going to give you my favorite cash game play, tournament play, salary play, and my fade of the week for DraftKings. We have UFC Vegas 35 this weekend, which is Edson Barboza versus Chikadze in the main event. Should be a good time. 12 fights on the slate in total. And before I get into them, again, make sure you're subscribed here to the channel. So much great content coming out throughout the week, including the Dogger Pass podcast. Paul Shaughnessy, Cody Safdie, that has already dropped. We're here for the quick picks. Like the video and comment below who your favorite DraftKings play of the week is. And more specifically, I'm really curious who you're paying up for in the top end. There's a few fighters at least who are very capable this week. I'm going to talk about one from my cash game play, but a lot of decisions we have to make. And without further ado, let's jump into my cash game play of the week, which is going to be Andre Petroski at 9.2K. So unlike last week, there are some really strong options in the top range. We have Mahmoud Muradov, who is minus 700 to win. Petroski is minus 600 to win. JJ Aldrich is minus 425, and Mana Martinez is minus 280. Not as strong, but he has some good metrics as well. So you're going to have to make your decisions here. And I do think paying up into this range in cash games is the correct call. These fighters are just very, very likely to win, and very, very likely to win inside the distance. That is safety and upside personified. And I am rolling with Petroski here in cash games at 9.2K. You can make the case for Muradov as the best play on this slate, though Muradov is going to want to keep the fight at range, and he's going to want to outstrike Mearshart, and he does have a strong chance at winning inside the distance. Muradov at minus 150. So that's like an incredible metric, minus 150. But Petroski is minus 600 to win and minus 250 to win inside the distance, which is an implied percentage north of 70%. And Petroski's coming off the Ultimate Fighter show. This is the Ultimate Fighter finale. He's not in the finale. He actually lost to Brian Battle. And he doesn't pass the eye test, quite honestly. I have some concerns about cardio. I have some concerns about striking. So this is not like, I think Muradov's a better fighter than Petroski. But Petroski is kind of getting fed this opponent, Michael Gilmore, who was also on the Ultimate Fighter, and he was submitted in like a minute on the show. And he's also 6-3 professionally, and his other 3 losses outside of the show were all submission losses in round 1, and round 2. And Petroski is decent. Petroski is a good wrestler and grappler. He's going to go after Gilmore. He's going to try and land takedowns. He's going to try and advance position, get in top, and probably get a submission or ground and pound finish. And just the quality of competition is really, really low here. That's why Petroski's such a big favorite, not because Petroski's some incredible talent in this division. And ultimately, I'm rolling with the numbers. So Petroski's minus 600 to win. That's a massive line. And minus 250 to win inside the distance. He has a very, very, very high ceiling on this slate. Minus 110 on some books to win in round 1. And it's going to come most likely from grappling, which just scores so well. So that's kind of why I prefer him a little bit over Muradov if I'm forced to pick one. Muradov's more striking, which means he's going to need a bigger finish to reach that upside, whereas Petroski can still land takedowns, control non-significant strikes, etc. So he's a bit higher floor and higher upside in that sense. Also, the metrics rate up better for him. So great range at the top tier this week. Petroski is going to be my cash game play of the week at 9.2K. Moving on to my tournament play of the week, it's going to be Kevin Lee at 8.5K. And I don't particularly trust Kevin Lee. I've backed him throughout like most of his professional career, but he has some obvious flaws, and that one of them being that the strength of his game is grapple heavy, but he tends to slow down and wear down, and that has cost him losses. And he also isn't the most durable fighter in the world. He's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. He's lost 4 of his last 6 fights, but they've come against Tony Ferguson for the title, Ali Quinta in 5 rounds, Dos Anjos in 5 rounds, and the current champion Charles Oliveira. And his wins were a dominant finish over Edson Barboza and a knockout over Gregor Gillespie. So I still believe in this guy's potential. It's just he's not the most trustworthy fighter in the world, but that's why he's only in the minus 150 range against Daniel Rodriguez. And Rodriguez is going to want to keep this fight standing and outbox Kevin Lee and knock him out. And I think that's legitimately possible. And I like this fight as a whole for tournaments. I see it playing out at a very high pace. Lee's probably going to want to wrestle here. And Rodriguez, although he defends well on paper, 83%, he gave up 2 takedowns to Mike Perry and got his back taken there and gave up like 3 minutes of control time. Also got taken down by Tim Means. Kevin Lee's an actually good wrestler, and I think his path to victory is wrestling in this spot, which, as we know on DraftKings, scores very well, and 8.5K is not a bad price tag to pay. So is Lee safe? Not really. I could see him getting knocked out, but in a win, I think we're going to see takedowns, control, and potentially a submission from Lee at 8.5K, which gives him a lot of upside. He's plus 215 to win inside the distance, which is not a bad number. There's a lot of great options on this card in general, and if you can pay up, then yeah, pay up. But when I'm looking more in the mid-range, I'm going to be eyeing this Rodriguez-Lee fight a lot. I think it's going to take place at a very high pace. I like the grappling upside of Lee against a fighter who hasn't been fully tested on the mat in Rodriguez, and that's going to make him my tournament play of the week there at 8.5K. Moving on to my salary play of the week, it's going to be Brady Hiestand at 7.5K. Hiestand is in the finale of the bantamweight division championship for the Ultimate Fighter against Ricky Tercios, and he's an underdog here at plus 135. I think that's fine. I mean, I definitely think Tercios is scrappy. Tercios probably has a striking advantage, and Hiestand is very, very young. He's only like 22. Let me double check. 22 years old. So I don't think he's extremely likely to win. I don't think this line should be flipped or anything. He definitely has flaws, but he's generally a grappling-dependent fighter, a strong wrestler with good jiu-jitsu. 2 wins by knockout, 2 wins by submission in his professional career at 5-1. And he had some good fights on the show. I think he'll have a wrestling advantage here. As mentioned, Tercios is going to want to keep this fight on the feet and outbox Hiestand. Hiestand is going to want to come in close, get in the pocket, take him down, hold him down, take his back, and get a submission. I don't know that the submission is super viable. Hiestand's only plus 395 inside the distance. But if you tell me Hiestand wins this fight, I think it comes from takedowns. I think it comes from control, and that scores very well on DraftKings. And he's only 7.5K. And that's a bit of a value still at plus 130, plus 135, depending on where you look for Hiestand to win. There's not a lot of underdogs that I love on this slate. Talking about the big favorites on the card, that kind of takes away the bottom tier on DraftKings this week. They're just massive underdogs. So I'm kind of focusing a little bit more on mid-range type constructions, especially with my underdogs. And Hiestand is he's a solid salary saver there at 7.5K. That can afford you some big guns, and he has upside himself to win with grappling against an opponent in Tercios who is good on the ground in terms of his jiu-jitsu, but gave up several takedowns on the Ultimate Fighter, just isn't as physical, and is willing to play guard. So I definitely think we're going to see some grappling out of Hiestand, and that is his best path to victory, which gives him a solid floor and ceiling in a victory. 7.5K for Hiestand. He's my salary play of the week. And last but not least, my fade of the week is going to be JJ Aldrich up at 9.1K. She simply does not fit in with the rest of the group there, although she is a big favorite at minus 425 against Vanessa Demopoulos. And Demopoulos isn't a talented fighter at all, according to my eyes. She maybe will prove me wrong, but I don't think this line is like out of question. It's just that when you compare Aldrich to the top tier, we already talked about Petrovsky having north of a 70% inside distance line. Muradov's very strong inside distance line. Mana Martinez, great inside distance line. DiChirico, very strong play, and down we go. So you're going to need a big score out of Aldrich at that price for her to even be remotely competitive for the optimal lineup, which the only reason to consider her here, I think, is because of her ownership. It could be very, very low. And she's not, like, she is capable of dominating this fight. It's just she's won 5 times in the UFC and scored 69, 63, 59, 69, and 81. And, like, even if she gets 90 points, even if she gets 100 points, I still think she probably misses on the optimal lineup. I'm just expecting some big scores in the top end this week. So Aldrich, yes, she's minus 425 to win, but she is plus 350 to win inside the distance, which is very, very, very poor. So in a decision, I just don't think Aldrich has enough firepower to get there. She's way too expensive for my liking, and she's going to be my fade of the week. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week's UFC Quick Picks. Thank you so much for the support. As always, make sure to follow me on Twitter, Brett Appley, TTP, dailyfanmma.com for all your DraftKings breakdowns needs. We got all the breakdowns live currently, rankings, projections, lots of betting content this week. It's going to be a fun card. As always, thanks to Pat and the team for having us on the channel. Make sure you subscribe here and like the content, as always, and let me know who your favorite play is in the top end this week. Take care, guys. Best of luck, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.